And there's no question in my mind that this is the right day, because this is a Scott day. Scott would have been, and he would have enjoyed every moment of today, taking pictures, cheering on students, and really interacting with everyone in this community. As we all know, the athletic fields gave Scott a tremendous sense of purpose and also great happiness. With his camera in hand, he was a fixture on the sidelines of our sports teams, generously sharing his photography with parents, students, coaches, and everyone in the Country Day community. Most importantly, Scott shared the gift of friendship, a big man with an even bigger heart. Scott impacted our students, our coaches, and our parents with his care and compassion. He was a cheerleader, an advisor, a motivator, a team dad, and an avid Bucks fan. He was also a loving father. John, class of 2009, Hunter, who graduated in 2010, and Lindley, who will graduate in 2012. I'd like to invite Lindley and Hunter up to the podium to share some reflections about their father. They'll be followed by several varsity athletes, and Brad Tuma will have some comments to make. So come on up.
Hi everyone. I didn't really prepare very much. I just wanted to come up here and say thank you to everyone who came, who helped prepare this. Everyone who's put in any energy and time into my dad's life, and made Country Day what it was to him. And through that, made Country Day what it was to me, and the athletic program here, and how it fed him and how it fed me, and really changed, my high school experience, and, changed his life. I want to give a special shout out to the Showalter family for everything that y'all have done. Y'all are incredible. The entire athletic department of Country Day, every one of y'all is like saints. All the students would be lost without you. Also, Henry Atkins, I want to give a special shout out to him, and just everyone who helped plan this. It's an unbelievable event that things are still going on here, and that my dad's memory is still being lived. It really showed how much people cared for him as much as he cared for everyone else, because, he loved Country Day with his whole heart, so, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And John really wishes he could be here today. He's still in Vermont for another 2 months, but he'll be back this summer. But he really wishes he was here today, and he wanted to say thank you to everyone as well. So he's kind of here in spirit, but thank you.
Good evening. I'm sorry that we kept you waiting this evening, and even sorry that we couldn't deliver a victory from Dowd Field. We're going to hear from 3 of the varsity athletes, lacrosse football players that were impacted and mentored with their friendship with Mr. Benson. Jack Hamrick, Pete Showalter, and Robert Engel.
I don't know who they are. Let's speak. Anyone who hasn't played a full season with Scott Benson on the sideline can't really understand the impact he had on us as athletes. He was your greatest motivator, but he was always also your greatest friend. It's not the good times or the bad times when you miss him the most. When you miss his arm around your shoulder after a tough loss, or him telling you to keep your head up. He has been one of the most influential figures in my athletic career, and I think about him every day on the field.
What Mr. Benson did, for this school and for all the kids here, it's really, there's no way to put it into words. He was everywhere, and I know after I got hurt, and I finally went home and kind of had some time to be by myself and take everything in. Probably one of the first people I thought of was Mr. Benson, and yeah, I just wish he would have been there. He was always there, even when in the worst of times. Always with a smile, always keeping your head up. And it was really tough this year without him, and he'll always be missed. So.
Pete said it the best. It's really tough to be without him on the sidelines. He's
was one of the most fiery and passionate guys you'll ever meet. And that wasn't just in sports. I would go home and he'd be sitting there watching the Rangers game and he'd be yelling at the TV. That's not even his team. But literally, he brought the same intensity to every single thing in his life. And if there's one bit of advice that I'd like to give everybody, it's to live your life with intensity, because like we now know, Scott passed away last year, and he lived, I don't even know how long he lived, but he lived every single year with that intensity, and I loved every bit of it.
Thank you, boys, for those heartfelt comments. I'm going to say a few words about my good friend. It's an honor to be a part of this celebration of a good friend and tremendous supporter of country athletics and our entire community. For most of us, our first image of Scott is his baseball cap on backwards, camera in hand, stalking Cook Field sidelines, shooting pictures and shouting encouragement to his student athletes. I thought you might be interested to know how Scott initially became involved with the athletic program. As you know, Scott's personality did not lend itself to sitting in the stands and politely cheering during the game. He needed to be near the action, helping in any way possible. When son John joined the junior varsity football team, Scott quickly offered to be in charge of the pre- and post-game meals. As Scott did with every task, he jumped in full board to ensure that the athletes got everything that they needed to be successful. At the end of the season banquet, his attention to detail and commitment to the athletes prompted then junior varsity head coach Ed Walton to remark, quote, "Scott Benson was the best team mom he had in 30 years of coaching." Coach Walton quickly relayed this valuable information to head coach Bob Whitman, and the football program reaped the benefits of Scott's selfless acts and tireless efforts for the next several years. A few years back, when a college football coach was paying a visit to campus, Scott stopped by in Coach Whitman's office as he often would do, and the first thing that popped into Bob's mind was to introduce Scott as the director of football operations. And the title was perfect fit, because that is what he was. Coach Whitman recently commented to me, "A day doesn't go by that I don't feel the void of not having Scott around." He was part of the fabric of the athletic program. He had a rapport and a presence with virtually all the athletic teams and athletes in the school. Scott was also a huge promoter for country athletics in the community and beyond. His gregarious nature and willingness to talk about country day made him a great spokesman for our school. I know that Bob and Christy Boyles, head girls lacrosse coach, share my sentiment and appreciation for the incredible amount of contributions that Scott undertook for each of our programs. Scott's involvement in the lacrosse program went beyond his camera and video equipment, documenting our every move. A good example of his commitment to the boys was 3 years ago during the state championship run. Durham Academy was scheduled to play Christ School in one semifinal game and needed film for scouting. We felt pretty good about our chances against Durham, but we're not as confident against Christ School. We had the film, but no way to get it to Durham on a weekday. Scott quickly jumped in his Tahoe, made the delivery to Durham, made it back in time for practice, and of course had to stop at Jimmy's Barbecue in Lexington on the way home. And I know that because he sent the pictures to myself and Patrick Hobson. Durham ended up beating Christ School, and then the Bucks took care of Durham Academy in the championship. That was the same day, I believe, that Lindley's team took her at Durham Academy in her championship as well. Scott was a mainstay on our trips up and down the interstate, not only with his camera in hand, but his trusted BlackBerry, because he was scouting out the best barbecue joint for our way back. This last March, the lacrosse coaches got a chuckle as we sat in traffic for 6.5 hours trying to get to Raleigh. And we're thinking about what Scott would have done if he had been caught on that odyssey. Scott also kept up with Country Day athletes after they left school and went on to pursue athletics and, more importantly, academics at their respective colleges. He would email and make phone contact, and Scott was quick to check multiple college athletic schedules, and he would plan trips for us up and down the East Coast to see recent grads play for their respective universities. As you know, Scott was a news junkie, constantly on his BlackBerry, often searching for news about recent Country Day grads, checking a Civil War fact, or seeing what the bond market was doing. Many days, the last email from Scott arrived after midnight, and the first one the next morning at about 5 a.m. Most importantly, Scott's eyes always lit up when he had a chance to talk about his 3 children. He loved filling us in about Hunter's travels, Lindley's triumphs on the lacrosse field, and he was so proud of John's successes at Middlebury College and his work this past summer at Wells Fargo. We will all certainly think of Scott anytime we see one of his memorable pictures that he took of all aspects of our Country Day community. While we all miss Scott, I am pleased to share that his memory will live on at Country Day. Shortly after Scott's death, an anonymous donor gave $50,000 with hope of inviting others to join him in establishing a scholarship fund in Scott's memory. Four other individuals played a lead role in the fundraising: Carl Showalter, Henry Atkins, Patrick Hobson, and Hugh McCall III. As of date, 97 caring and generous donors have contributed $326,000 to make this dream a reality. On behalf of everyone who helped make this possible, I am honored to announce today the establishment of the Scott Benson Memorial Endowed Scholarship Fund. The scholarship provides 4 years of financial assistance for an upper school student who excels in both academics and athletics. It will allow qualified students who could otherwise not afford Country Day education a life-shaping opportunity. Thank you all, donors, family, friends, students, faculty, and coaches, for sharing a tribute to our friend and mentor, Scott Benson, the epitome of the Buccaneer spirit. Good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Eat the rest of the food, enjoy.